The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Bermuda's Feel Good Early Morning Show. Good day, Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terry Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert, and we want to thank you for getting up bright and early with us on this Friday. Jack, how are you feeling? The weekend is literally a couple hours away.
I'm so excited. It's Friday.
Why are you so excited that it's Friday? Besides the fact that it's Friday.
I got to go happy hour with all my friends.
She loves a little happy hour.
I'm going to taste because it is Shannon Birchall's birthday weekend. On track. So I'm going to get on track for the weekend.
She said get on track. That is so corny. Like, okay, so if this is the first time you're watching this, we're just going to go ahead and roll right into it. So Jackie and I bring you feel good energy each and every morning. And our feel good vibe of the day is joke time with Jackie, where she shares these corny dad jokes. And so that was a preview of what you can expect later on in the show. So make sure you're on for that. Before we get into that, though, we're going to be having a conversation with the a featured guest, which we have backstage. Monique Lister is going to be joining us, and she's going to be sharing her legal expertise and discuss some of the challenges that entrepreneurs tend to face on their journey. So if you are an entrepreneur or if you know an entrepreneur, make sure you stick around for that conversation or share this conversation with them so that they can join the conversation with us. Before we get into that, though, we're going to go roll it back just a little bit for our Feel Good warm-up. And Jackie and I saw this post yesterday on social media. It was of one of hip hop's great, Busta Rhymes. He was at a party. We can't tell you the time of like when this party was because they didn't really note that in the comments or anything like that. But my guy had on a really large trench coat that was fur. Now, in New York City and in some of the places on the northeast of America, it's kind of cold. So, big coats make sense. Not inside though. So we want to know, have you been that person who has been extra? Like, have you had something on that wasn't generally supposed to be a part of your outfit in full that usually isn't, like a coat, maybe some extra glass shades indoors when it's dark, shades outside when it's dark? Let's talk about us being extra for no apparent reason other than style. I feel like jackass.
Definitely had my jacket I remember I wore my dad's trench coat one time and I was just like, yeah, no, it's specifically oversized. I'm wearing it for a reason. This is it. I've worn shades. I have these extra lace bunny ears that I wear to any concert that I go to. And I was wearing them in the rain. And I'm like, these things are sticking to me. I can't really see. But like, those are I wear them to Juve's, anything like Soka on the road, Juve powder related as well. So
I would like to experience this and you know what's really funny about this? Like, I haven't personally done it, but I've seen so many memes of like, the aunties with the big church hats, or like the put together outfit, color coordination and all of that. And I just think it's so comical to see because I'm like, people really be rocking it though. Like, it's one thing to like wear it and it don't look right, but folks be like, Busta Rhymes was rocking that big oversized and it was a fur oversized trench coat inside.
I knew he felt hot because,
but he was jamming. He was like in the mix, like dancing and that. I was like, sir, I'm sweating.
It's probably. I feel like they're used to being hot anyway because they're on the stage with a million lights on them, and that's hot. Lights on you is hot. Woo. So yeah.
You know what he reminded me of, though? I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Players Ball or just like, experienced that lifestyle in Atlanta with the pimps and just like the outfits like dressed to the nines. Like he definitely reminded me of that type of experience because I'm like, sir, at some point you should take off the jacket. Like, okay, we've seen your outfit, you got your picture. Let's put the coat to the side.
He reminded me of Denzel Washington and American Gangster.
Mm.
That's like that was the one where he got caught. He had the hat, he had the coat, and didn't take it off. I don't think he took it off when he went to the boxing match. I think that stayed on the whole night too. Yeah, I just think about the heat because like the fake ones kind of keep you warm, but those real ones be keeping you hot.
Okay, yeah, I was good. She said warm. I was like, yeah, they definitely keep you like toasty, and that, and it's serving its purpose, right? It's so I think interesting. Like when you looked at the crowd of that particular like space, everyone else was like just regular dress. Like if they had coats on, the coats are no longer on their bodies. But my guy said this is the outfit. Like everything else was like the accessory. This is the main piece. This is my statement piece.
Everything else that he had on was basic. That was his showpiece. That's like having no rings on your finger except for that one blinging pinky ring.
Exactly. If you're just joining us, Jackie and I are discussing, have you ever had a moment where you've had something on in your outfit that wasn't necessarily supposed to be a part of your outfit for you to wear the entire night? Maybe it was a coat, maybe it was some shades that you were wearing indoors that you didn't need to, or outdoors when it's dark. Jackie has a few accessories that she tends to wear for reasons, which, we're going to love her for. We're going to if she likes it, we love it. Okay. So let us know in the comments if you've ever experienced that or if you've seen someone experience it and thought or experienced someone do it and thought,
I think
that's a little much.
I think everybody went through the shades phase. I can't remember what celebrity started it. I'm gonna go like Lil Wayne or something like that.
It probably was easy.
But I know that even what was it about 3 weeks ago, I went to watch St. George's versus Village on St. George's, and I had these shades on, and like I was walking around, I was just like, my hair's too big to put them in my hair because my hair was really curly. I was like, it's too big to put in my hair, so I just kept them on, but they weren't dark. But I remember people having like basically blackout shades, like shades that you'll get as soon as you get your eyes tested and dilated. They have that dark and being in the club, and it's just like, bruh, there's no sun. There's barely any light in here.
The minute the light starts to change, I have to take mine off because I have an astigmatism, so it's already difficult for me to see light and stuff like that in general. So the shades mess me up. So like I take them Johns off, which is why I don't like to wear shades, because I'm the type of person, if I take the shades off and I put them down, they're going. I'll lose them, and then I'm just like, dang it, that's my favorite pair of shades. I like them because they were an insert reason why I like the shades. So I just struggle in the sunlight. As you remember from tennis, I never wear shades to tennis because I'm just concerned that I'm gonna put these Johns down and I'm not gonna be able, or I'm gonna leave them, and then Jack is gonna be like, I wonder whose shades these are. Guess they're mine now.
No, I said not a meme. I'm like, so my last shades, what color are they? Okay, they're yours. But most people catch me. Most people, I don't even see them. There's been times where I didn't even know you came with shades or put your shades down, and I've gotten all the way inside and like, hey, I think I left my shades. And I was just like, I just sat down. It's back up, goes and looks, and rescues the shades if they're still there. I've seen where people have tried to walk off, and I'm like, those aren't your shades. You know they're not your shades.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You know, another piece of something that I was thinking about that could possibly become a part of someone's outfit. It's like a cane or an umbrella. Like maybe more cane than an umbrella, but like I've seen people like dress up their cane, and that now becomes a part of their outfit.
I've done my umbrella.
Okay, I really was joking about the umbrella, but you confirmed. So you've like had an umbrella as part of your outfit?
Yeah.
I would like for us to dive deeper into the story.
Also, like we're going, but I didn't use it the whole date, but I had it up because like you have to protect yourself from the sun. So I made it so that it was a part of the outfit. Kind of like what they used to do back in the day. What did they actually call it there? They didn't call it umbrellas. They called it something else.
Oh, you're talking about the like petite umbrellas too. Like you're
Yeah.
talking about like the, when you go to the horse racing and the ladies have the little
Yes.
umbrella.
Mine wasn't like lacy. Mine was just basic. But I used to run this.
Oh, look, not only did I gas backstage and Rosalind famous sketches called a parasol, sis, I would have been sending her like, the little umbrella that the ladies used to wear at the the horse
Cute ones,
race.
the cute ones.
The little cute ones.
Yeah, not the big ones that say like I have one that says Rosewood. I don't even know where it came from. People will borrow my umbrellas and then they return them, but they're like broken. I'm like, hey, this is broken, and
That's
then they're
not
like,
how you
"Oh,"
got it.
and then they'll get one from their company, and now I'm advertising their company.
I mean, I actually purchased 3 of those nice umbrellas from the umbrellas where it fills outside. So like the part that gets wet kind of just all drains down. Literally the best thing ever. Because when you roll up the regular umbrella, the water's like all dripping down and it just doesn't work properly. Get you one of those umbrellas. It's a regular umbrella. It's not like it's a fancy umbrella.
That was me on like, what was it when it first rained? Tuesday. I was like,
It's been raining for like 3 weeks.
I was trying to close it, right? So I get to the car, I open it up, and I go to close it, and all the water that I avoided came on me. And I was just like, what was the, Cardi B, what was the reason? Why did I even use this umbrella? I am drenched now. Like, this defeats the whole purpose. I probably got more water on me than if I just walked in the rain.
So I don't know, like it is a regular umbrella. I can't remember the branding because I never looked at it, but I saw my aunt have it and I was like, where did you get that? That is why weren't umbrellas made like this from the beginning? Like,
yeah, I'm having
why?
one this year just for like Connie game and cut match. I'm gonna have one,
and we're gonna look for the pictures because we're gonna have to come back to this conversation when we see that. So I want to give a shout out. Good morning to Kavina. Thank you so much for joining us. And Rosin Famous explaining it to us. It's Para for Soul Sun. Makes total sense. Literally makes total sense. Thank you for educating us on this Friday morning because Jackie and I would have still continued to call it the umbrellas from the horse racing.
the cute one.
The cute ones, the lacy ones. On that note, Jackie and I are going to take a quick commercial break and then we're going to bring in our guest of the day. We have Monique Lister backstage. She's going to be sharing with us as much of her legal expertise as she can. So if you have any questions as a small business owner or any in general, we'll see if she can answer them for you. And if she can't, she can't. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Peace House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terry Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And if you haven't already, please take a minute to share this episode wherever you are watching because we are getting ready for our Feel Good topic of the day. We have a featured guest. Monique Lister is backstage. And as always, we need you to help us welcome her into the show this morning. So drop a good morning greeting, drop your favorite good morning emoji as we welcome Monique to the conversation. Good morning, Monique.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, we want to just hop right in to not only the conversation, but kind of just starting with your backstory. So can you share with us your educational background and why you specifically chose law?
So I went to undergrad in Atlanta, Emory, and my undergrad degree was BBA in finance and accounting. And so, like so many of us, I had planned to go into business. And as part of my business class, I actually took a business law class, and I enjoyed it. So I took another business law class, and I went to a presentation by my business law professor, and someone asked about, the analytical training and knowledge you get from going to law school. Is there any other way that you can get this knowledge? And she's like, no, the only way you can get it is to go to law school. And so that kind of planted a seed in my mind. But I came back to Bermuda. I worked as a management trainee at Butterfield for a little bit, but that seed was still there. And so I actually ended up going back to law school after 2 years at the bank. And unlike most people, I actually went to law school in the US. So I went to law school in the US and I worked overseas in-house at IBM and EY before coming back to Bermuda. But I always had that kind of intention of having a career that had both the business aspects and the law aspects, which is why I spent most of my career in-house. And so having that business background definitely helps me to be able to advise business clients because I understand the finance part, I understand the strategy part, and so it's just been really helpful.
I love that.
So talking of such, because it sounds like it was a long journey, or maybe it's just hard doing it. But so what has been your favorite part of this journey? Or give us two favorites.
That's a good question. I would say, I think in general, my overall favorite has been advising individual like businesses and small businesses, entrepreneurs, growing businesses, because you actually make a difference. One of the things I like to say is every business is a family business. And what that means is, when your business is doing well, you're taking your family to Disney World, or you're excited at home, you're in a good mood, you have good energy, that impacts your family. And when your business isn't going well, then, you're upset, you're trying to keep the tension away from your family, the stress, you're bringing that home as well. And so when you help businesses, when businesses thrive, then families thrive and communities thrive. And so that's one of the things that's really my favorite aspects of what I do, is being able to impact, it's not just about the dollars and cents, but it's actually impacting people's lives.
I love that. And one of the things I actually wanted to circle back on in your story was the reason why you chose the US, because most Bermudians, when they do go into law, even if they do undergrad in the US, they generally then go over to the UK to study law. So why did you choose the US?
So I would love to say that it was some deep and meaningful thing, but my boyfriend at the time lived in the US, but I did my research. So I made sure that even if I went to school in the US, I had a path to come back to Bermuda. And so I actually researched what I ended up doing, which is doing qualifying exams in the UK, which then qualified me to be admitted in Bermuda. So I'm actually admitted to the bar in New York, in the UK, and in Bermuda. So it actually gives me more options.
I love that.
Wow. Now you had mentioned something about in-house. What exactly does that mean? Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Mm-hmm. So in-house means that you work inside a company. So instead of working for a law firm where you have a whole bunch of clients, in-house basically means you work for just one company and they're your only client.
Thank you.
And so what did you always want to be an in-house lawyer, or did you ever see, because Jacky and I got our law degrees from Law and Order, and so what we see is the criminal justice side of it. You see the prosecutors that work for the government, and then you do also hear obviously the defense lawyers who generally work for a practice, but very seldom have you seen, even on Law and Order, where there's in-house counsel conversations.
Yeah.
So can you speak to what was so, I guess, intriguing about an in-house option versus a law firm option? Or have you even worked in a law firm, by the way?
So generally, there's kind of two buckets that most lawyers go into. You're either transactional, which means that you're doing transactions. So, you could be business transactions, it could be intellectual property, it could be, selling a house, conveyancing. It's just basically you're doing transactions. Then there's litigation, which is what most people think of when they think lawyer. That's criminal, that's civil, you're suing someone. And so those are two big buckets. I always knew that I did not want to do litigation. So I had no interest in being the lawyer in the courtroom, the one that you see in Law and Order, arguing or making their arguments. That was not me. So I always knew that I wanted to be a transactional lawyer, and that kind of integrated the business part. And then I also knew that I wanted to work in-house as kind of an ultimate goal, because I think it helps to be able to get to know a client. And so it's not just, I'm just doing one little piece of work for you. I'm kind of getting to know you. I'm learning about your business goals. I'm learning about your strategy. I'm learning about all the things that you want to do. And the better information you have, the better advice you can give. But I actually ended up starting my own firm back in 2020. And that was actually the first firm I ever worked in. And I started the firm because I saw this need in the market. Here in Bermuda, there's a lots of firms that cater to the larger companies, but there's not as many firms that kind of cater to the small and medium-sized businesses, the entrepreneurs. So I actually started a firm, and I was working with clients, and I loved the work, but I hated having my own business. They always say you have to work in the business as well as on the business. I just wanted to work in the business. And so I actually recently closed that firm. And I'm doing freelance work actually using my New York bar degree. So working virtually overseas while I kind of figure out my next steps. But I still want to be able to, work with small businesses in some way and kind of make that impact and help people because, there's still that need. But just because there's a need doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be that person to meet the need.
That's a great piece of advice.
Speaking of entrepreneurship, because it does seem to be the season for everybody jumping into the entrepreneurship boat, what are some things that we should think of before we jump into that, well, let's just say it, field of expertise? Because, a lot of people just jump in and they don't realize all the work you just mentioned, that you have to do a lot of work. But what are some other things that people should think of before starting a business?
I would say the biggest thing is finances. I'm fortunate, I'm a good saver and I have no dependents. So, I didn't have to worry about paying the daycare bill. But when you're an entrepreneur, all the money has to come from your job. And if you need to be prepared, you need to know what your expenses will be for the business. You need to know, what your projected revenues are. You have to have a good idea of what your cash flows are going to be. And if you're not ready to take the plunge and to do it full time, that's okay. Start part-time, start doing it nights and weekends, start doing it, working your full-time job and hiring someone to help you. And so there's different ways that you can do it that isn't just straight, just dive right in and, throw all your eggs in one basket. But definitely knowing the numbers is really important. And then knowing your product, knowing your market, do market research, get feedback, do customer surveys. All of that is so important. And one of the things that it's so important to realize is to avoid what is called the ugly baby syndrome. As an entrepreneur, your business is your baby. You love this, you've created this, you've birthed this business, but sometimes babies are ugly and your baby may be ugly. So instead of just saying, nobody can tell me anything about my business, I know that this is great, be open to feedback, be open to someone saying, this is cute, but here, let me hook your baby up a little bit. Let me help you out. And so that's really important to just be open to feedback, what positive and negative.
I love that. And one thing I actually wanted to kind of just maybe stick on a bit when we think about small businesses, a lot of times we don't even think about lawyer, right? Like it's like the last thing that we think about because lawyers are expensive. It's a lot of money to get a lawyer. We're not a big corporation, so we think we can't afford a lawyer. So can you maybe dispel that myth around like, you should only wait for a lawyer when you need to either sue someone or when you need to do an LLC or when you need to maybe, set up a corporation? Like why should we actually be trying to talk to a lawyer earlier in our entrepreneur journey versus like later in life, in the business's life, that is?
So basically, the legal foundation of your business is basically the foundation of your business. So just like if you were going to build a house, you wouldn't just, get some concrete, some blocks and start just putting them on the ground and, going from there. You're going to make sure that you have a solid foundation. And if you don't, then the whole house is going to crumble. And it's the exact same thing for your business. Like you need to make sure that you have that solid foundation, and getting legal advice will help you make sure that, you have the right corporate structure, that your employment contracts are correct, because, if you have to go to an employment tribunal, then you may have to pay back pay plus penalties. And believe me, that is far more expensive than actually doing it right the first time. There's a lot of requirements that any business, make sure that you're doing everything properly in terms of paying social insurance, in terms of, making sure that you have the right pension and the right healthcare coverage. And so there's a lot of requirements that a business has to meet. And so a lawyer can help you make sure that you meet those requirements. But it's not just, the bare minimum is making sure you comply with the law. A lawyer can actually help you think strategically in terms of your business. Think, okay, these are my business's goals. How do I get there? For example, when you start your business, you might have different goals. You might say, I want to have this business, I want to run it for the next 30 years, and I want to eventually pass it on to my children. Or you might think, I'm an entrepreneur, I love to start businesses, I want to get it up and running, get it growing to where it's a good place, and then I want to sell this business to someone else, and I want to cash out and, maybe start the next business. Well, when you look at those two scenarios, having those completely different goals means that you have to have different ways to approach them. And that means that the way you structure your business, the way that you grow it, the way you hire employees, all of those things are going to be different depending on what your ultimate goals are. So a good business lawyer will help you to work through these things and think about, okay, what are some of the things that I really need to know in my business, that I really need to consider? And then how do I get there? And so how do I create this legal roadmap in order to get to where I want to go in my business?
I love that. Things I didn't think about. Things I didn't think about before starting. And so I was one of the people that was really excited for Monique's business. I'm like, okay, I'm still kind of in the startup phase, but I'm like, I know that it's important to have just someone like a lawyer that you can kind of ask these questions, obviously purchase the services to ask these questions to kind of get a better sense of where you are. Because to your point, I feel like a lot of, and even Bermudians, and I've seen other small businesses around the world just kind of start up and then find themselves in hot water and then lose a lot of their assets because they didn't have any protection set up, or they at least didn't set their company up in such a way that they would be protected, even if you were a sole proprietor. So I actually love that you shared that. And I want to bring this audience question here from Sean Smith. He says, do you advise clients on tax laws? If so, which one do you enjoy practicing the most, US or Bermuda and the UK?
So I do not do tax advice at all. Tax is a very, very specialized field, especially in the US, because their tax laws are all over the place. I took one tax class when I was in law school, and it is a lot. And of course, they're constantly changing. So there's certain areas where you need to specialize. Like, for example, if you're getting heart surgery, you don't say, well, a GP is a doctor, so, they can do my heart surgery. No, you need to go to a heart surgeon, a cardiologist. And it's the same way for taxes. You need to talk to either a tax lawyer or a tax attorney, but definitely somebody who specializes in taxes, because they're going to be up to date on all the laws and all the changes and best practices.
That's good advice.
Now, switching back over to starting a business, because you gave a lot of information, but what does one need to know about choosing a name for their business?
That's a great question. So the most important thing, or not the most important thing, but one of the important things in your business is protecting your intellectual property, as well as not infringing on somebody else's intellectual property. And that definitely goes into choosing your name. And so when you pick a name, you want to make sure that it's not like somebody else's name, so that they come along and sue you, or so that they've already taken the website for this name, or, so you need to make sure that you do your intellectual property searches, but also you can just start with a simple Google search and seeing, does anything pop up that's similar to this name? But also in terms of protecting the name, because when you register your intellectual property, the more unique something is, the better protection it is. So I'll give an example. If you have Apple company, and it's Monique's Apples, that's the most generic, almost as generic as you can get. And so you get the least amount of protection. However, if you're a technology company that's called Apple, then it's a lot higher protection, because it's not linked to what it is that you do. And so if your name has what it is that you do in it, then it's more likely to be considered generic. And actually, the names with the best protections are the random names. So for example, Google, what does Google have to do with technology? Like, if that company had never been created, you would never think Google, that means technology. And so having a made up word is actually the highest protection, because it's the most unique. And so there's kind of a scale of most generic to most unique when you're thinking about names. And so that's something to consider as well. The more unique your name is, the better, the easier it is protected. But you also need to make sure that you're not stealing somebody else's name, because that potentially.
Did we? I think we lost her for a second. So I'm
I
actually. Oh, you're back, Monique?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. It cut out just a little bit on your last part. You were talking about the unique name. So the more unique your
Yep.
business name, the better it is. And it kind of cut off
Yes.
at the end there.
Okay, so just make sure, think about whether or not your name is unique, and think about, make sure you do some research as to whether or not anybody else is actually using that name, using that trademark.
Perfect. And so I just wanted to ask this question because everyone knows that I represent Hamilton Parish Workmen's Club, and I kind of advocate for all community clubs. We all need lawyers. Getting a lawyer to be part of your committee is like the hardest thing because one, their time is very valuable. I get it. But then two, it's like there is this generational thing of how constitutions and bylaws were created that just weren't really passed down through the upcoming committees. So the reason why I kind of preface that is because Sean Smith asked this question: do you assist companies in creating their bylaws? And I kind of wanted to maybe focus on this. If you don't, what are some things that you kind of got in your in-house experience that you can kind of help small businesses with? Because I don't think a lot of us understand how corporations are created because it's just us doing it, or us and a family member.
Yep. So in terms of creating companies and creating bylaws, I don't do that. You actually, here in Bermuda, you have a separate license from the BMA for that, and so you can't, having a law firm is one step, or an accounting firm, but then you have to get that separate license from the BMA that allows you to do company formation and that type of work. And so I don't do that type of work. However, when you think about when you're talking about in-house work, I mean, some of the things that that applies to all businesses is, for example, contracts. Like, your contracts are the lifeblood of your company. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen people say, oh yeah, I have a contract. This is a great contract. Or even when I'm purchasing the services, especially from small businesses, and they give me their contract, I'm like, this isn't really a contract. I mean, it's not really my role here when I'm buying services to rewrite your contract, but this isn't a contract, so people think, oh, it's something easy, or I can just do something, or worse yet, I can just pull something down from the internet that I've seen on, from the US or wherever. But having your contracts is key. Like, I always tell my clients, the best defense for your business, or the best protection for your business, is a good relationship. And the second best protection is a good contract. And so any in-house lawyer or any business lawyer, you're definitely going to be dealing with a variety of contracts, whether it's buying or selling goods, whether it's, services that your business needs, employment contracts, or independent contractor contracts. And that's so important, because knowing when someone is an employee versus an independent consultant, if you get that wrong, then you may have to pay back wages, you may have to pay their social insurance or other back fees, and you may also have to pay penalties. So getting all of these things right is really, really, really important.
Great advice. Listen, I'm actually thinking now, okay, so after the show, I'm gonna reach out to Monique for Girl Club, because we need to make sure our things are right. I'm just saying, and all community clubs, really, because I do feel like, whew, child, it's not easy. Go ahead, Jack. It's not easy.
No, you said that you work for somebody else. What is your current role at your place of employment right now?
So I'm actually freelancing at the moment. And so because I'm admitted to the bar in the US, I can practice there. And, with COVID and everything else, everything is remote now. And so I'm actually virtually working with lawyers overseas, and they send me work, I review it, I, negotiate or draft or whatever needs to be done, send it back to them. And it's great because it gives you options. I was working with the brand line, and one of the things that they said was they tell all their clients, your market isn't just Bermuda, your market is worldwide. And for most lawyers, that's not necessarily the case. But fortunately, since I'm admitted in a lot of jurisdictions, or not a lot, but 3 jurisdictions, that gives me more options. But for any business, you can think about, okay, how do I expand my market, not just from Bermuda, but make it worldwide?
That's perfect. And as we wrap up, Monique, I wanted to ask, because you did say you're freelance, you did talk about like, doing some negotiation and contract reviews. Can you maybe speak to a little bit more of the services you offer? And if someone like myself was trying to get some advice, how do I contact you and get that information?
Sure. I mean, if you're a club and you have questions, I mean, lawyers in general are encouraged to do pro bono work, and so if you're a nonprofit and you just have a couple of questions, I might be able to help. You can email me. It's monique.lister@gmail.com. And so basically just my name at Gmail, and send it off if you have any questions. And it's pro bono. It's I like to give back to the community. I've done pro bono here as well as overseas, and I think that's something important for lawyers to do, to give back. And so yes, free to reach out to me, and hopefully I can help.
I love that. So thank you once again, Monique, for joining us bright and early on this Friday morning. I definitely enjoyed this conversation. Jack, I'm pretty sure you did. You're smiling every day.
There was one time I'm sitting there, I didn't know anything about choosing the name. So to tell me that me saying Lambert Island Tennis, which is ours, is less protected, I'm sitting here trying to figure out a new name.
I mean, I'm not saying that, you have to go name it Lambert Google or something like that. Like, you don't have to make up a name, but and especially, Bermuda's small, and what kind of, to get into the technical part, what it means if you file for a trademark, Lambert and Island might be protected, but the tennis part isn't. So you can't say nobody else can use the word tennis, but you can definitely say nobody else can use Lambert Island tennis. So there's just kind of nuances of how you were protected, because it's foolish to say nobody else can use the word tennis, and so that's just kind of some of the distinctions.
Good to know.
Thank you for that, because I think everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, our brand names are terrible. We need to start over." Looking at me, starts like running through "There's fire! It's a fire! It's burning down."
Especially something to think about is intellectual property. It goes by country too. So if you look in Bermuda and you do your research in Bermuda, and you say, "Okay, these are the trademarks that are available in Bermuda," and you're fine with that, then then you can start thinking about, do your Google search and just make sure there's nothing anywhere else, but you don't have to overthink it either.
As Jackie and I would do. Thank you once again, Monique, for joining us. I think we need a part 2 and a part 3 and a part 4, because we can definitely go down so many different roads when it comes to business law. We want you to have a great day, Monique, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Same to you. Bye. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Jackie and I are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back to hear your thoughts on our conversation with Monique Lister. So make sure you drop them in the comments, and then stick around, because we have our Feel Good Vibe of the day, which is Joke Time with Jackie. And if anything, you're going to want to stick around for those corny jokes. Jackie and I will be right back.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. If you're just joining us, we just wrapped a conversation with business lawyer Monique Lister. She shared so many gems around setting up your business, how to protect your business. And so definitely make sure, if you didn't get any questions answered, or you didn't ask any questions, maybe you're too shy, feel free to email her. She said her email address is monique.lister@gmail.com. So reach out to her if you have any questions, and she can possibly, if not answer your question, direct you to someone who can answer your question. We got this comment from Jody Bird. She said, "What a great conversation. Thank you. I really learned a lot when it comes to business law." It's definitely, listen, I told you I got my law degree from Law and Order. So that's about as far as I went when it came to studying law. And I think I did pretty well, but clearly I'm not. So I'm going to just have to talk to my professors at Law and Order, SVU, and figure out why they didn't teach me the right stuff.
We need to dive deeper.
I'm going to talk to the director, because he's just not doing his job properly. I'm a little nervous, but
I
Jack,
need to update my degree.
yeah, I need to go back for my master's. That wasn't any of my associates. Carlton Fleming says Monique is awesome. I totally agree. I definitely want to have her back for another conversation because I felt like we could have went down so many more different avenues, and I feel like we should definitely explore that because at the very least, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. Law and Order cannot tell us everything that we need to know. But Jackie, I don't know about the audience, but I'm ready for joke time. So let's get these corny jokes rocking.
All right. First
Let's do
one
this.
up. What do you call an average potato?
Yeah, potato head.
No, man. A commentator.
Commentator, like tater tots.
Yes.
Commentator.
Oh my God.
Woo.
Okay, did you hear about the cheese factory that exploded in France?
No, but it's PU.
No, there was nothing left but debris.
Debris. Big, because it's cheese.
Okay, last one. You know what sucks?
Socks.
Tell the audience.
So, y'all, as you know, I do tennis with Jackie on Saturdays with my tennis partner. And she said some joke. She said, you know what, socks? And I said, socks. And she just busted out laughing. And I was like, I made a corny joke, guys. I
I can't wait to use this. And she's just like, I'm probably going to forget. But she remembered, kids.
Yay, go me. You know that little gif of the guy from The Rascals? That's me right now.
It's like,
just looking at her, Darla. Darla. Anyways.
My curl won't go down. I'm trying to fix it. I'm like, look at this.
We're definitely going to have a 90s show. We have to do a throwback show about all things from the 90s because Jackie and I clearly love that era. Yes, we are a little bit wild and crazy over here. We like to give y'all some feel good energy in the mornings. As always, thank you so much for watching and engaging with this episode of Good Day Bermuda, which is supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. We trust we'll see you next week for more feel good conversations and a special announcement. So make sure you tune in with us all next week because we are going to be giving you guys that special announcement, which we teased earlier in this week. And we'll be back to tell you all about it next week. Until the next episode, peace and have a good day, Bermuda. Once I find it.